From time to time on this channel, whenever it comes to Call of Duty, you'll hear us talk about a very big topic, which of course is SBMM. And it seems like here recently, that topic has come up for conversation again. Treyarch actually sent out a tweet saying that they are only the development team, meaning that they are sort of putting the blame back on Activision for SBMM. And this is the first time that it's really openly been said who has control over SBMM. Now, here recently, there's a new video out by WhosImmortal. We're going to be watching that today, and he really explains this very well. You can have all kinds of really cool stuff in your game, but if the core base play just isn't there, if there's something wrong with it, then no matter what you put in the game, it's really not going to make that big of a difference. So real quickly, let's watch his video explaining this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We've seen a lot of pretty interesting stuff revealed for Black Ops 7 over the course of the past few days and weeks. For the multiplayer side of things, we got the whole reveal with that. I thought the trailer was really bad, but everything else as far as like gameplay goes, the announcements there, some of the weapon stuff, some of the new
change my mind very much.
Of Charlie Intel honestly sounds pretty solid. We'll detail some more stuff later on in the video as far as specifics go. Zombies looks awesome. I thought the trailer there was cool and everything. We've had some good news surface recently, but unfortunately, not a surprise with COD, but it's still unfortunate. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, because while you can have cool gameplay and cool maps and modes and weapons and all sorts of stuff, there is still one thing that is sort of the top of the umbrella that affects everything beneath it, and that is the gameplay, and that is the maps and the modes and the weapons and everything, and that's matchmaking. And we know in Call of Duty, it has been not great for a long time now because of how strict skill-based matchmaking is. Now, I don't think anyone...
Yeah, and we've talked about that before on this channel. You know, whenever I get into a game, I notice that there's a lot of ups and downs. It feels very much like a roller coaster. I will go in, I will do just exceptionally well on one game, and then the next game I'll do really bad. And then the next game I'll do really well, and then the next game I'll do really bad. And it just seems like I'm on this never-ending roller coaster. It's this constant up and down. I don't feel like I'm progressing. I don't feel like I'm moving forward. And that's really one of the things that has made Call of Duty very boring to me, when I don't feel like I'm progressing, or I don't feel like I'm getting any better, or I can't seem to get my KD up. You know, those are the types of things that really frustrate me about playing Call of Duty. And regardless of what you put in the game, you can put out thousands of really good videos and trailers, and if the game doesn't feel good when you play it, it doesn't really matter what you put into it.
One out there is actually realistically thinking skill-based matchmaking will ever be fully removed from Call of Duty.
No.
They've stated time and again through their white paper, through other various means of communication, that there is a player base that thrives with skill-based matchmaking in place. Their largest casual audience is protected by it, and that ends up with them having better retention and better revenue. And so for a business-first game like Call of Duty, that's wildly important.
And, you know, I get protecting the casual players a little bit, but don't you want those players to get better? And the only way they're going to get better is if you're challenging them inside of your game. If you're constantly holding their hand and you don't allow them to get any better, they're always going to be casual players. It doesn't seem like you want to cater to casuals too much, because in my opinion, probably 70% of the player base in Call of Duty are not casuals. If you're only catering to a very small percentage at the bottom, you're really hurting that top percentage, which in turn is going to hurt your sales. So you kind of have to think about it that way too.
However, the severity of skill-based matchmaking is something that could, and in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinions, should be adjusted. Unfortunately, we've had a response to skill-based matchmaking, but I'm obviously prefacing that with the word unfortunately. So you may recall this leak that surfaced a few days back from the Ghost of...
And I actually did a video about this, talking about the disbanded lobbies and how great that would be, because it would actually sort of sidestep SBMM as new people come into the lobby and people leave and stuff like that. Obviously, the dynamics of that lobby would change, but basically, if you find a lot of people who you're very evenly matched with, you can jump into a lobby, you can stay in that lobby, and then the game is not actually picking the lobbies for you. So I think that getting rid of disbanded lobbies would be absolutely massive for Call of Duty.
Hope, and this has had everybody talking a lot. So like skill-based matchmaking, always a hot topic with every single Call of Duty, every single year, really every single season. But this really took things to the next level because it's like, oh, something could be happening. We had Hope report saying, very big grain of salt leak, Treyarch developers are currently pushing to remove disbanding lobbies. Now, why is it phrased like this? Well, because if Treyarch wants to do something, they've got to take this large idea that would impact their game to the heads of Activision, the leads there, and then now presumably Microsoft as well, and say, hey, we want to do this. Can we change this? Because it's not something that they actually fully control. It's Activision's own outsourced stuff there, so they have to get the approval there before they can do a large scale change like disbanding lobbies, which would have a huge impact on matchmaking. If you have a good connection to a lobby, you can stay on that server. If you have a lobby where you're doing well, you can stay in that server again and again and again until the other team is balanced out, people leave, sweatier players join. Like, there would still be elements of skill-based matchmaking even with disbanding lobbies as a thing, like there was back in the day. It just wouldn't be as strict of skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah, and again, that's what I mentioned in my video talking about disbanding lobbies or not having them. If you haven't seen that video, go and watch it.
As it is right now, where every single lobby is a reset in a hard new sweat fest. So everyone got talking about this leak.
Yeah, basically with the way SBMM is now and the way that they disband the lobbies, the game is picking what lobby you go into based on a multitude of different things. And if you did really well, then it's going to put you in a lobby with people who you're not going to do as well for multiple different reasons. Maybe they have higher ping than you, or maybe they're just not as strong of a player. But again, I mean, I think the argument is that, you know, are you actually helping those players out by doing so? In my opinion, if you are a casual player, you're never really going to get any better unless you're sort of tested, unless you have some level of expert people that you're playing against. You're just not going to get any better.
At the end of the day, it's still just a leak, not official by any means. But the hype around this was so large that it got to Treyarch's desk, and now they've commented on it. So as we go through their response, what it means, and the broad outlook here moving forward with COD, just a heads up if you guys are new to the channel. A lot of you might be, by the way. We'd love to have you join us on the road to 1 million subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. I got you covered constantly with the latest.
Make sure you go and subscribe to his channel. He always does really good content.
Seriously appreciated. Really does help grow the channel, and share the video around, even if the news might not be the greatest, because here's what we got from Charlie Intel. In regards to all the questions about skill-based matchmaking and disbanding lobbies, Treyarch told us that they see the comments on it. However, it is not under their control to change or adjust those, saying, quote, "We are just the developers."
Yeah, and basically Treyarch is saying who makes the decisions here. Obviously, Activision is the ones that make that decision. And as long as Activision still sees money coming in on the game, they're not going to be forced to really make any changes. As long as people keep going out and buying all their cosmetics and buying the game year after year, absolutely nothing is going to change. So if you truly want this taken out of the game, the only way to do it is to fight with your wallet.
So what this is saying is that Treyarch, it's basically them saying it without saying it, Treyarch wants to change this stuff. They see the comments on it. We have the leak from Hope saying they're pushing for it. However, this sounds, based on my interpretation, I've been around a while, I sort of know how to read some of this stuff. This sounds, at least as of right this moment, that they probably brought it to Activision and Microsoft, whoever they had to talk to that, you know, signs off on these things, finalizes these things. They probably brought it to them and were told, yeah, we're not trying to do that right now. This sounds like it's a no, basically, which is really, really unfortunate if this is the end of the conversation. This isn't to say, though, that this is the end of the conversation, because with the beta coming up, we can assume they're probably going to turn down the skill base a little bit because it's going to make the beta feel better. And they know this. They do it every year. It didn't come along.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't actually know that they adjust the skill-based matchmaking for the beta, which is really odd. I mean, you would think that that would give them a worse name. You know, if people know that they're turning the SBMM down for the beta and then turning it right back up for the game, I mean, that's not good. That's pretty upsetting, actually. I didn't even know that they actually did that.
Launch might get cranked up a little bit. Unless maybe the beta is not as successful as they want. The pre-order numbers are still not there post-beta that they want to have for launch. launch doesn't go over incredibly well, there's a chance this could be adjusted. But their initial reaction here is basically, yeah, we can't. We want to, but we can't because it's Activision's territory to change that. They outsource their servers and everything like that, matchmaking, to Demonware. They give them the directives on what to do there. So as much as Treyarch might want no skill-based matchmaking whatsoever, their response is, it's not our option to change.
And I don't think that they need to take SBMM out completely. I mean, back in the day, we had SBMM. It just wasn't nearly as strong as it is now. It wasn't as recognizable, you know, and now with the new skill-based matchmaking system, it just seems like it's so recognizable that the game is just not that much fun to play anymore. You know that your next game is going to be a bad one based on the previous game that you did so well in, and that just makes the game not fun anymore. I don't know.
If we might want to do it, we're just the developers. We don't control that. And so this sort of Paul Blart Mall Cop segues back to our earlier conversation at the start of the video where I said you can have insanely good gameplay, insanely good weapons and customization and sick camos and awesome whatever else, right? This could be the best Call of Duty ever from a gameplay perspective. But if the matchmaking is as strict and as just downright obnoxious as it is right now in Call of Duty, that's going to severely diminish the quality of this great gameplay. And keep in mind, that's just me providing an example, not...
That's exactly what I said at the beginning, and I think he makes a very, very good point here. I mean, you can have all of this crazy stuff in the game, but if your matchmaking sucks, nobody's going to want to play it.
Saying this game is going to have great gameplay, but Keshav from Charlie Intel, who actually got to play the game last week, ended up saying this: Black Ops 7 multiplayer feels like a really refined version of Black Ops 6. Much more colorful maps. To me, that's a W. Better movement feel. That's a W. Better weapon selection and balance. That's a W. And a lot better map variety. That's a W. A lot of the haters might have to play it at beta and see those changes, because admittedly, when you look at this and you think it's probably very similar to Black Ops 6, because it could be in a lot of ways, you might not have liked Black Ops 6, and so you can make the conclusion you're not going to like Black Ops 7. But the devs have pretty explicitly said they're trying to make this game not feel like Black Ops 6. They want it to be unique. You have Keshav here, who's probably the most trusted source for giving us accurate information in an unbiased way that he's going to tell it how it is, and has for a while now, right? With Charlie Intel. So that is a source that I trust personally, and so saying that it is going to feel like a better version of Black Ops 6. The changes that are there are good.
I mean, that's not saying a lot, because Black Ops 6 was a pretty terrible game. Let's just be completely honest. I mean, yeah, you can have a better version of crap. It's still, at the end of the day, it's crap.
Good changes is fantastic, and it gives me more hope for multiplayer, which, to be honest, based on the trailer, if I was just exclusively watching that trailer and that trailer alone, I would not think this is going to be a good game. I don't think that trailer was very good. It didn't make me feel like...
Yeah, if you guys saw my last video watching the trailer, I said if 1 was me not changing my mind at all and 10 was me completely changing my mind, it was about a 5, somewhere in the middle. It was a decent trailer. It wasn't that it was bad. It looked really good. The fact that they've got all of these new maps was a big win, but there was just something about it that just didn't really make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. You know, it wasn't that exciting to me. It basically looked just like every other hype video that we see every year. We saw all of this hype for Black Ops 6, all these videos, everybody was super excited, and then we get the game and it was terrible and a lot of people hated it. So you can put out all the hype videos that you want until we actually get this game in our hands. That's really going to be the final thing that's going to say whether or not this game is actually good or not.
Anything. That was a lifeless trailer, in my opinion. The song sucked. The choreography of everything on it, it just was a boring trailer. There was nothing special about it. But when you read the blog about the gameplay, I think there's a lot of things that sound cool. Based on what I've heard, some rumors, some whispers out there about gameplay, I really think it sounds cool for multiplayer. What we now have official from people who've played it, I think there's a lot of potential there. Keyword potential. But again, if they don't do something with matchmaking, they're hard capping the potential. Instead of it being up here with like even toned down skill-based matchmaking with disbanding lobbies, it could be here, maybe not at its full ceiling, but it could still be up there. Instead, super strict skill-based, hard capped. And it's not about having to play people of your skill level every single game. Now that can get frustrating and it kind of diminishes the point of having ranked play. It's just ranked without reward.
See, and that's not really my experience. I don't feel like I play people of my skill rank every single game. I feel like I play these very lower skill ranked individuals one game, and then I'm playing these people who are way above me the next game. And then it just feels like a roller coaster, and I don't feel like I progress. And maybe that's because of the group that I'm in. You know, I'm definitely not one of the lowest tiered players, but I'm definitely not one of the highest either. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. And for me, skill-based matchmaking probably feels a lot different than it does to someone that's in a higher tier. Again, I don't feel like it's actually putting me in games with people of my same skill level. I feel like it's bouncing me back and forth because I do really well one game. So it's like, oh, well, he's too good for this. Let's put him with these higher people. Oh, he's not that good. Let's put him back down here. And it's just this never ending roller coaster a lot of times when I play this game now.
Rewards, basically. The problem is with skill-based, more so than it being a sweat fest, is kills your connection. Your connection quality gets worse the better you are at the game. There's things to back that up for years and years and years now for COD. It limits your party's potential. You can't have as much fun playing this game. It's kind of subjective, but I also feel like there's objectiveness to this as well. You can't have as much fun playing in a party unless you're all very similar in skill. If you have one phenomenal player who can, like, you know, be iridescent top 250 and ranked, and then a hard stuck silver player, and you try and party up, that silver player is going to have a miserable time because it's going to queue off of that iridescent level player's skill for the matchmaking, and it's going to be sweaty again. So
that's probably the problem that I'm having. You know, I would probably consider myself about a silver ranked player. And again, like I said, it just seems like it ping pongs me around so much that a lot of times I just don't feel like I'm progressing at all inside of this game.
If you have varying skill levels in your friend group and in your party, that experience is diminished. And COD's a social game, so it kind of throws that whole idea and that concept out of the window. And I hope that Activision realizes this. And I hope that you guys will help share the video around by leaving a like on it, actually sharing it as well. It's always seriously appreciated because the only way this changes is that if Activision continues to feel the pressure. We got Treyarch to feel the pressure. They've brought it to their, advisors, to their executives and their leads that have to sign off on it, and they didn't sign off on it yet. I don't think that's the end, though, and I won't, quite frankly, accept that that's the end because it is something that can be adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, we know that this can be adjusted, but again, how do you get to Activision? I mean, you know, obviously the developers, they're speaking out about this. It sounds like they want to make changes, but when they take it up to Activision, Activision are the ones that don't want to make the changes. And as long as they keep seeing those piles of money come in, they don't care. They're not going to make any of these changes. The only way to hurt the people at the very top, again, is with your wallet. That's the only way. If you want to see these things change, then you got to stop buying Call of Duty every year. You got to stop buying all their cosmetics and throwing all this money into it, because from Activision's standpoint, all they know are the numbers. That's it. That's all they see. Are their sales up or are their sales down? And as long as their sales are up, they're never going to make any changes. They're going to think that what they are doing is the correct path, and they have data to back it up because all they see are those big dollars that are coming into their game.
Just bluntly, it can be changed. And the only reason to not change it at this point, to me, would be either just extreme greed to the point where you only want casuals on the game that don't know better. The ignorance there is sort of bliss, right? Or just they're maniacs. Like, at the end of the day, why does it need to be so strict? And you have all these other games that have skill-based in them, but it's not like this.
No.
Unfortunately, though.
And I've talked about that before. You know, Valorant has skill-based matchmaking, but it's not recognizable. You know, I have some nights where I just do terrible all night. I have some nights where I just wreck people all night. I have some nights that are sort of in between. I can usually play about 4 games a night. I'll have 3 of them be really good and 1 of them be really bad. And it's not like it's 3 in a row that are really good and then 1 bad. I might have like 1 good, 1 bad, and then 2 goods, or, you know, 2 goods, 1 bad, and 1 good. You know, I mean, it's just not a recognizable pattern like it is inside of Call of Duty.
Our true response regarding skill-based and disbanding lobbies so far is not a good one. We'll see if this changes in the coming days and weeks. If it does, of course, I'll be sure to keep you guys informed. I hope I can. update you guys in a few weeks on the situation. But that being said, it's going to wrap things up for this video. Again, if you want to help share it around, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button,
to his
turn on
channel,
those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later.
So again, I just think he makes some really good points inside of this video. Obviously, you can have the best game in the world, but if your matchmaking sucks, then the game is going to suck. It's just that simple. And it doesn't seem like Activision is willing to budge on this. They think that they are protecting the casual base. Again, if I had to make a prediction, it's probably about 70-30. You have about 30% that are casual players, and you have about 70% that are above or average players. And a lot of the people who I personally know, I know a lot of people that play Call of Duty, and all of them are really good gamers. They all are very good at the game. So I don't know very many people who can't play the game at least a medium level. Now, one of the things that they could do, and we saw this inside of Warzone. You'll know a while back, they actually released a casual mode. Now, it would be a little bit different if you were inside of, multiplayer. I mean, you could do it with bots, but to me, the simple solution to this is have a mode that is for casuals, call it a casual mode, and then have a non-SBMM mode. I mean, I know they don't like to do this because it really splits their player base apart, but with the huge outpouring of people who are just sick and tired of SBMM, something has to be done. And it really doesn't hurt them to at least do it as an experiment, just like they did inside of Warzone. Try releasing a non-SBMM and an SBMM mode. Check it out, see what the data says. If you have 80% of your people playing casual, then you'll know that you don't need to change anything. But if you are seeing a lot more people go into that non-SBMM mode and they are enjoying it, at that point, you would know what your plan of action should be. So I think that they could actually solve this very easily just by doing something like that. Again, SBMM has been a massive problem for this game. Hopefully, if people will fight with their wallets this time around and just not buy this game, then Activision won't have any choice but to listen to the players. And I think that that's really going to have to be what happens in order to make any sort of changes to SBMM inside of this game.